Hey everyone. I have a question for all of you. Don't you love that feeling when you record an entire video that you're entirely happy with, that has tons of improv that you really love, but then you realize your blue snowball isn't plugged in all the way, so the entire video's audio sounds like complete garbage because it's like zzz, and you had some really good improv lines in there, but you can't get the damn video clips back from the editing department because you cannot edit out stupid mic mistake like that? Yeah, I love the feeling too. But that's what happened to me. So this is an entire re-recording. I recorded this last night and it didn't work. So we're here. Now, there's a bunch of table setting I'd like to do before we get into the video. So, first off, first game review. We did our first movie review. And second off, I want to talk a little bit about, kind of what's happening with the channel and what I'm going to do. So basically, I'm kind of at a crossroads, but I finally decided, I think, what's the best for my channel. So the Bond video, the video that's been hyped up for so long, is scrapped for now. When I'm eventually better at making videos and can, when I'm better at making videos and when I'm done a little bit more research, I'm going to get the Bond video done. I'm going to re-record it and get it done to send it to my editors because we got it about 30% edited, and that's it. And that's what I talked about in the second video. But here I'm just saying, like, that the video is way in the I was way too, it was completely my fault. I was way too ambitious for a 40-minute long video to come out ranking 24 movies. I should just stick with basic one movie reviews, which is what I'm doing now, movies and games. My bad. And today is our first game review, like I said before, and we are reviewing a really good game, Mario 64, with the Super in front, for the Nintendo 64. It came out in 1996, and it's a classic, we all know that. Now, beyond the fact that it's classic, and back to what I was kind of setting up, I'd like to talk about, what I'm taking this channel with. Now, I'm kind of on a crossroads whether to go full constructed video reviews, which is mostly just audio and less about, like rawness, or if I should keep going with this kind of raw bullet point style that I'm going with for the T2 video. And I've kind of decided that I might just do both. So for more constructed videos, like my Arkham retrospective, which I'll do, and other retrospectives, like Arkham games, by the way, retrospective, I'm gonna do like a more constructed, more kind of essay approach to it, and less of the really raw bullet points. Because for these videos, I basically just have an intro and a bullet point list for these, which I'm going to keep going with this format for a few more until I finally make my first, like, really constructed video review. Now, with all that table setting out of the way, let's get to the meat of today. A review of the classic video game, Super Mario 64, for the N64, released in 1996. Let's go. So, I'd like to talk about my background with this game first, and it's kind of a weird one, where this game, throughout my life, I've never really had a big fascination with it. It was mostly just sporadic moments where I'd watch videos about it. I played the DS port a few times throughout my life, and I think I've tried the actual real game on like a PC once when I was like 3 years old. Not 3 years old, I was like 5. But I don't remember anything from it. Again, it's just an assumption. But I have tried the DS port a few times. I've never really had a huge fascination with it until me and my friend Jada, known as J-Bo Bay, we got really into Mario and Nintendo recently. Mainly Nintendo, but a lot about Mario, and especially the 3D Mario games. We're talking about them a lot and trying to get our hands on them. And Jaden got his hands on a PC kind of emulated port of the game to PC. Where you can either play with keyboard or controller. I just so happened to play it with a PlayStation and Xbox controller, but because I don't have the real game, I just have the PC port, and that's how I played it for this video, which I didn't even plan to make a video, I just wanted to do this, but that's besides the point. I do actually have an N64 though, And the more I think about it, I realize it's very nice that I was able to play on a PS4 and Xbox controller, because comparing them to the N64 controller, it sucks. And to prove that, let me give you a little comparison. See, this specific controller is what I played most of the game on. As you can see, the way the controller is constructed, it's perfect for, especially a platformer, because you got the D-pad here, the PlayStation D-pad being really good, so it's easier to go in 2D sections, but the main thing is the joystick. You get to play it pretty simplistically, move camera, jump, all the buttons, dive, whatever, and we'll talk about the movement later. But it's comfortable, it works. But compared to the N64 controller, which sucks, this thing is like, okay, this is a situation where the concept is amazing, but the execution is horrible. Now, you might be wondering, what kind of controller is this? A 3-pronged design, compared to the normal 2-prong that a controller has. And this is actually a smart idea on paper, because you get to switch how you want to play it just by switching how your hands are on the controller. You want to go in a more D-pad based game, probably like a puzzle game, you hold the controller like this. But if you want to go for like GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, or Super Mario 64, you hold it like this. And so it kind of makes sense, because you get to choose how you play, like this or like this. However, it feels horrible over time, because you're basically holding the controller like this. And you do not hold the controller like this. You hold it like this. Like, it's the same hand shape, but it's on different sides. See, this is comfortable because you're holding it on either side, and you get all the triggers, you get everything. Well, with this, since you're holding in the middle, they only have one button you can use on the back. So you're basically stuck like this, and it's just awkward, because you got this just constantly bumping your hand. And it is very, very obnoxious. However, me playing on a PS4 controller gives me advantages, because even though it's still the cable, because I need to plug it into my computer, it works, and it works with. So my experience is very much brought up by the fact that I used a PlayStation controller and not the stupid shitty ass N64 controller. Now, with all that controller discussion, man, I'm doing way too much table setting, and I'm not digging into the main course, man. Let's actually get into the game. My quick thoughts on Super Mario 64. This game is the bar that is set for all 3D platformers to come. It is one of the best ever created. It has only rarely ever been topped. Some games in its an old franchise haven't even topped this, technically speaking. Obviously, like, in your subjective opinion, it might have been, but objectively speaking, most games in the Mario franchise have not topped this game, because of how iconic, classic, timeless, and amazing it is as a video game. Obviously, there's flaws, and we'll talk about them later, but this game is so phenomenal as a video game. And it helps that I'm basically fresh with it. I barely played it when I was younger on DS, so I didn't even have the full experience. And also, because if you want to experience this game, you play the N64 version. The DS version is nice, but because there's better graphics, but why would you play it on a D-pad, first of all? And also, second of all, it just, no. Don't play it on a DS. Play it on the PC port or the N64. But, this game is just so good, and it's almost worth buying an N64 or buying an N64 for this game if the PC port didn't exist. But it does exist, so there's, you just play that one. Because it even runs and looks better than if it was on, like, the whatever graphics it is, 480 or whatever the hell. But now let me talk about kind of the layouts and stuff of the game. First off, I'll talk about the opening. Whatever, Peach gets captured, Bowser hides stars, you gotta get stars, get to Bowser, save Peach. Simple Mario story. We've all seen it over and over again. Mario isn't about the story, it's about the gameplay. But the hub worlds you get, Peach's Castle, is one of the best in video game history. There's only a few better than it. One's actually in the Mario franchise, that being Delfino Plaza. But it's hard to name a lot that is better than this, because it's simple, sweet, straight to the point, has great music, and it practices movement. And that's the next thing I want to talk about real quickly. The movement in this game is so good. movement is so good. It's so pristine. You get to run, jump, somersault, dive, punch, sweep kick. You get to do so much. You get to, like, triple jump. I didn't even say that. You know, it's so fluid. It's precise. You get to move Mario in 3D. You don't get to move him on a D-pad in 8 directions. Shitty-ass PDS fucking port. But, you know, it works, man. It's so good. It's so fluid. And it's weird because later Mario games, besides the exception of Sunshine, kind of ditched a lot of the movement that you get. Which is very strange because this game perfected movement. And it's... Anyway. This game perfect... But as I was saying, it perfected the movement that, of Mario as a character with the different styles, things you can do, and how they integrate into the levels, especially this hub world where you can, some things require you to ground pound, run, dive. You can use like the long jump to get across it quickly, you need a ground pound to drain the water and stuff. Like, it utilizes the movement once you practice it, and especially with the dun 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 da 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 dun tune to back it all up. It's amazing. It's great. It's a great hub world. Now we get into the actual levels. Really, really good. Most of the levels are like kind of open vistas for a reason, because you know they need to have 7 stars in every single level, and that's my next thing I'm going to talk about, the level design. Again, giant, expansive. This is open world game, and it needs to be expansive, which is why there's so many hidden levels throughout the castle, like the, you know, the invisible wall that you have to go into, and to get a dry desert, if that's what it's called. I might have forgot the name. Correct me if I'm wrong. To get to the there you need to go through like a wall, but it doesn't tell you if it's like a painting or not. It's, and yeah, you got to go through paintings to get these places, and every star is original except for the 100 coin star, which is in every single world, which is fine. They're kind of, it gets a little repetitive if you did it not like how I did it. I feel like if you did it where you just did every single 100 coin back to back, it would be repetitive and annoying. But the way I did it is I just, whenever I couldn't do a star, I did the 100 coin star, which, you know, gives you time to brainstorm on what you're going to do next. And it works. Now, obviously, level design's amazing. Again, expansive, secrets. If I didn't use guides for this game and videos to help me with it, I would probably only be at like 70 stars. Because I didn't even finish it, like, fully. Because the game is 120 stars. 70 to win, but 120 if you want 100%. And you get the improved triple jump, and you get 100 lives by Yoshi. I didn't. I got to like 100 and something, and I can't remember exactly, and I'm kind of too lazy to stop this recording to go check, so yeah, I'm just gonna edit it. Somewhere on the screen will show how many stars I have. But like I was saying, if I didn't get tutorials, I would be stuck. Very, very, very stuck. I would probably be at star 60 probably, because of how hard some of them are to find, and that, you know, leave room for experimentation and seeing what you can and cannot do in the game world, which sometimes isn't that fun, but in this game it's very fun because the movement is pristine, so it feels amazing going through it and trying to find it. And again, this is an open world game where you can do any star at any time. You aren't limited to a single star. You just do whatever you want, except the limitations, which this is a bit annoying, but I kind of understand why they did it. Limitations where you need a specific number of stars to get to some of the doors, which makes sense, but I don't know. I feel like if you could just walk through every door, it would make more, it would just be a little bit more. But I digress. It's not a big issue because you're still having so much fun. This is the kind of game you open up, and before you know it, it's been a few hours, and then you're done, and then you've already gotten like 10 stars in that entire time. But, as I was saying, now I want to talk about another thing regarding this game, and that is the graphics, which easily most people would say is the most dated aspect of this game. And this is a rant, a gripe I have with a lot of people. People assume what a video game is based off graphics and not off experience, and that is kind of annoying in my opinion. I feel like people would call this game an old-fashioned video game when not at all what this game is. This game is modern. This game is better than most modern platformers, and which are kind of struggling nowadays, but better than a lot of games nowadays. Period. Honestly, it's just because the graphics look old that people assume that it's an old-fashioned game, which it isn't. And the graphics aren't even bad for the time. They're very impressive, and especially they crammed this much on like pretty bad hardware. That's very impressive, and not to mention the fact that you know, it still worked for the game. That's why the DS port isn't as good, because, well, one of the reasons, besides obviously the D-pad kind of thing, like, the only real improvement of that game is some of the silver stars and the silver, like, collection stars, where you have to collect many silver stars, and also the new characters, but most of them are worthless. Yoshi's pretty much worthless, Wario's basically worthless. The only real character you're ever going to use, really, is Mario and Luigi. Luigi because he's so broken with that backflip, and Mario because you need him to beat some bosses. Like, Wario's for like a couple stars for black bricks, but that's all you're going to use of him. And Yoshi's just worthless because he can't do really anything. But as I was saying, like, the DS port, even though the graphics look better, even though they're on, you know, a DS, like, they, generally speaking, the character design is better. I don't know, like, I can never imagine a new characters in this style of game, which is why I appreciate that they haven't made a Super Mario 64 remastered, because it would break the immersion this game has, because this game, characters look so, like, even though they're old-fashioned, like, they're, you know, old, not old-fashioned, well, they are old-fashioned, the characters are nice, but they look good for the game. You cannot imagine it. That's like if you can't imagine most things without imagining, like, about using, like, what I'm trying to say is that you can't imagine a lot of things without what it has, as in, like, Crash Insane Trilogy, while it's good, you don't really feel like you're playing the original games. You kind of feel like you're playing a modernized take on Crash, even though it's literally just the old games remade, because you don't see the old kind of graphics, and that's basically what I'm trying to get at here, where even though the graphics are old, you cannot imagine them without them. And even then, they're more jiggly and they're more cartoony. And again, don't think about the stuff remastered, because it will never happen, because Nintendo knows it'll break the immersion of this game. However, there are still some gripes with the game. The main gripe I have with this game is the camera. Probably the most classic problem with this game that a lot of people talk about. The camera in this game sucks sometimes. Lucky 2 is the cameraman, and he sucks at his job and is very lazy sometimes. As in, you will get in so many situations where you're close to a wall, and then Lucky 2 clips into the wall, but you can't see shit. You're just stuck in this wall looking at nothing. Or times when the camera is just in a horrible position where you can barely see the jump in front of you, like stuff like that. Like, that's the weakest aspect, and I'm not even. But that's the only aspect I'm not actually like talking about here, because every other aspect that you could consider a gripe, maybe like the glitches or the bugs, which I didn't really experience any in the PC port, but I'm imagining on 64 there's probably going to be some. I won't count those, because this is on bad hardware. This is on not that good hardware, so obviously it's not going to be that good. Like, that's like saying that, you know, like, I don't really know what to compare it. It's like saying if Banjo-Kazooie or whatever, it has bugs, which means it's a bad game. Like, obviously it's going to have bugs. I keep trying to say bad hardware, but it technically is not bad hardware. It wasn't bad for the time. Inferior, I guess the word, inferior to what we have now, which is pretty obvious. But back to the Super Mario 64, it's like, this game, it does have like glitches and stuff probably, which I didn't experience really any, but for the time, this is extremely impressive. Today, it's still really impressive. The camera can be annoying, but that's really all I have to complain about. This game is immaculate in most regard. It is one of the best 3D platformers ever made, and for this new line of game reviews, I've decided to use a different scoring system. For movies, I'm giving it like a grading, like a school grading system, as in A plus, B plus, C minus, get it? But for here, I'm going to use a 0 out of 10 grading scale, and for Super Mario 64, the classic video game that is so goddamn good, I am going to give it a 10 out of 10. First movie review, first game review. We are making progress. I'm sorry about the bomb video, but we are making progress. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to catch you all next time.